Right now, there's a very controversial JUP vote happening. I'm going to cover it. It relates to Meow getting a whole lot more tokens. I'm going to tell you what I'm voting, the pros and cons of each, and give you a whole lot of context that you probably don't have. Let's get amongst it. So firstly, this is the post to have a look at. It is from Jupiter DAO, the 2030 proposal. The TLDR, just so you get the information to put into your mind, is there's a whole lot more team members that are coming to the Jupiterverse or already coming. 65, they need some JUP upside because they're going to be working for a salary, but they need that long-term alignment. These are talented people. They've got two options. They can fund from the strategic reserve, which I believe has 1.28 billion. I'll show you that later. They can unlock 280 million JUP from the team strategic reserve starting July 2025 and use it over the next 3 years. Or they can take it from Meow's funds, and then in 2030, he gets no tokens until 2030, and then he gets a bonus of 220 million from the JUP community, from the JUP community reserve. That is essentially the vote. Now, if you have a look at the Genesis posts, the actual original tokenomics, or after the launch of tokenomics, they were fudded hard by a vocal minority, and this is always the case, but the actual tokenomics were 50-50. Now, if you're launching a brand new protocol and you don't have revenue, you probably need to go higher in order to achieve success. 60-40, 70-40, 70-30, sorry, meaning 70% goes to community, 30% for the team. And then there's more upside. Ideally, you also have a token that goes out, and maybe in an ideal world, it's like, I would say 40% initially, like quite a massive amount. They did 33%. JUP did less. A lot of tokens did less. You can have a look at a whole lot of tokens out there, and you can make up your own mind what you think is correct. But go back a previous generation, and then a previous generation before that, and the tokenomics were nothing like this. You can have a look at Solana's tokenomics, which I'm very bullish on Solana. BNB's tokenomics, horrendous. Major projects in the previous cycle were nothing like this. This is decent. But now, what's kind of been asked for is it skews back in favor of the team. And that's what we have to work out. Is it worthwhile? Now, don't just take my opinion. Do your own research, in which case you can listen to the first 2 minutes of this clip on the big JUP updates from Cash, which was clipped from the main stream that was a few days ago. Ideally, watch the whole thing. It's not long. Watch on 2x speed, 1.5x speed. It's worth putting it in. But the summary is basically what I'm going to talk about. And a very, very key point is that DAO gets the right to veto in the future based on performance. So if Meow doesn't perform, he doesn't get the bonus. Now, the biggest issue with JUP is the same issue with everything in crypto, to be perfectly honest. If price does not go up, which it has not, it's gone up and it's come down, and we've locked our active staking rewards, then we can't sell them, right? We can't sell because we're participating in ASR. Then that's the biggest issue. Now, there's massive buying pressure coming and here with 50% of all revenue. Currently, JUP's doing around $500 million worth of revenue, I believe, per year. It can go up, it can go down. Probably going to go up, to be perfectly honest. We'll dip down in the bear market, but it'll probably be, top 5, if not the top #1 protocol for fee revenue generation, I think, in the bear market. We'll have to wait and see. This is the biggest thing, though. Price goes down, it's a sad day. Now, I would say the biggest reason why there is a whole lot of FUD or misunderstanding is because in the Jupiterverse, you've got information in different sources. Like, as an example, this is on DeFi Llama, a reliable source most of the time. It gives the tokenomics. It doesn't give us all the tokenomics. And we don't know when all the unlocks are happening. There will be a source somewhere. It'll be in Discord or a JUP research post, but it's not searchable. It's not easily found. And this is the issue on why I think the FUD initially on the initial launch tokenomics was so great by, once again, a vocal minority, not myself. But basically, the issue there was you had to go to Meow's Twitter, Meow's personal blog, Discord, JUP's Twitter, the research forums, and maybe even a random call, a random Twitter space in order to find the information. So we need an aggregate of information. We come here, and this is where I want to point out the strategic reserve actually has 1.28 billion. So we don't need to do this. It doesn't need to be done. But we'll get into the but shortly. And what I'm referring to of, where I'm kind of annoyed is these websites are pretty decent at knowing when unlocks happen. So the fact that they don't know when all the unlocks are happening means it's not put into a nice way that everyone can get that information, sadly. So I've got a kind of a mission that I'm not going to do myself, but I'm going to put it out there into the universe. The simple thing is, if you have the skills to make this work, reach out to Slorg or Chemo, create a working group, make the tokenomics well known where it's going. This has to happen after the audit, but this would have significant product market fit. Get amongst it. Have a read of this as well if you like from Meow. The TLDR is 65 talented people come onto the team. They need to be funded. I have worked in the past, I'm not going to say for who, previous cycle, for different teams and companies. And I've put in a lot of effort, and I have not had anything come back my way, or very little, and it's not worth it, right? If you obsess over crypto, if you work every day, if you try to level up and make something better, you need upside, because someone else can offer you something more decent, and that's where the problem is. You need upside. Now, the biggest thing here with Meow is he gets this big bonus, right? And 5 years it's a long term, but it's signaling that like he's here for 5 years. He's gonna push and he's gonna make this happen. And you might think, well, I think he's gonna do it regardless. He wouldn't want to tarnish his name or whatever. But it's hard. It's hard to keep this grind. It's hard to keep the FUD. And I would say Meow is quite an emotional person in the sense that he's like thick-skinned enough to get the job done, but it hurts. It hurts when you get targeted. And I've been targeted myself, and it does hurt. I'm fairly thick-skinned myself. So this is kind of like, it's showing that there's enough belief the community thinks that you're worth it. That's essentially what it is. So now I'm going to go and connect my wallet. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. This is just a tutorial wallet, so it doesn't have all my JUP, of course. But you can abstain if you want. I think that's the lazy way, to be perfectly honest. That's not putting in the effort. I would be disappointed if I personally knew you and you abstained. You're welcome to, though. It is an option. Yes, Meow fronts 280 million JUP and locks in until 2030, and in return for 220 million JUP bonus, or no, it comes from the team's strategic reserve, and Meow's JUP unlocks in June 2026 as planned. This is not the thing we want. Honestly, it is not the thing we want. Remember, we can abstain. We can abstain from the vote, yes, but we can also note that in the event that the yes option is successful, the 220 million bonus remains vetoable until before 2030. So if in 2029, Meow is just sipping cocktails on some island, he's not putting the effort, it can be vetoed. It's not going to happen, but it gives us the option, which is good. Vote, approve. That is what I am voting for. You can change your vote as well. Now, I'm in UTC time. This ends 10th of March, 2025, 5:28 p.m. UTC. So it's going for 3 days more. There are analytics sites out there that you can find if you like. Lockie's got some here. So basically, thus far, most people are voting yes. They're in agreement with what I am saying. It's pretty clear to me, to be perfectly honest. We'll go back, actually. Some are abstaining, which is you're welcome to do. And no, some are no. I would say most of the people going no would be smaller people that don't see a bigger picture here. First cycle, don't understand you have to reward in order to get like something decent done, right? Skilled people are hard to find. Now, this person here has been acquired. This guy's been acquired by Jupiter, so he has a viewpoint, and this viewpoint has bias. But I agree with it. This is the guy behind Sona Watch, by the way, which I've covered in many tutorials. Brilliant product. A lot of people are getting upset, surprised by the 280 million JUP allocated to 265 new team members over 3 years, which I'm part of, to be clear. When you divide this all, it's actually not that much. It really isn't that much. And some people are going to have more and some people are going to have less. There's people part of the Jupiverse that could go to another blockchain and get $20 million worth of lock tokens, I reckon, with ease, comfortably with ease. And that's just what it is. If you're betting on Jupiter, if you're betting on JupNet, this is what you have to reward. There has to be a sizable reward. Otherwise, it's not worthwhile. It's just not worthwhile. So allocating 4.2% of the total JUP supply to 80% of the team vested on 3 years doesn't sound too much at all. And that's what you have to keep in mind. That is what my opinion is. So that are my thoughts. I guess I could end with saying that the cons are the community gets less, but the community is not using it well anyway. And the community is very, very good at making noise, but it's not making the price go up. The price is going to have to go up, in my opinion, simply because there are more products being built, and those products create more revenue, which creates that buyer pressure. The buyer pressure has to come, that 50% of revenue, to start to lift the JUP price up, and then people start to realize this token just goes up, and then they start to buy. So if you want to get richer, in my opinion, you'll vote yes, but that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and also check out these 2 videos over here on whatever they may be. Catch you in the next video.